Let's bring on my Lightspeed Party panel tonight. It's Jessica Tarlov, Democratic pollster and strategist and senior director at Bustle.com. I've also got Observer columnist Michael Malice in my deep freezer, and Red Eye co-host Andy Levy from the Fox News Channel. All right, panel. Never-Trumpers have finally and reluctantly accepted that Donald Trump is probably going to be our next president, but not their new boss. It turns out prominent anti-Trump Republicans say they've been blacklisted from appointments in the new administration. Many of these Republican critics of Donald Trump warn that the incoming commander-in-chief has little experience in national security or foreign policy and is cutting himself off from their vast expertise. Sour grapes or legitimate grapes? Jessica, I will start with you. There are a number of people who signed on to a variety of Never Trump letters, and they were concerned about the bona fides of this incoming commander-in-chief. And you say that shutting these people out is a bad idea.
I do think it's a bad idea. A lot of these letters, if you actually read them, were, as you said, just voices of concern, saying that this person doesn't have, especially the foreign policy experience or the right ideas to lead us forward. And as people who've worked in this profession for decades, we're a little concerned. And to blacklist them and to be taking people on such a lower level above them. I mean, in the article, it mentioned that there were low-level staffers who were going to these meetings at the State Department, and their bosses who, you know, led national security policy, foreign policy under Bush and Clinton are just sitting there saying, like, hey, why isn't anyone talking to me about this? I actually have experience here. So don't be petty, Donald Trump.
Well, is he being petty, or are we being realistic that politics is a blood sport? And when you come out aggressively against someone who's running for office, well, you know, the payback is a weotch.
Yeah, if you work in the intelligence community, you should take into account the possibility that one of the two major candidates is going to win and play your cards accordingly. If you're going to come out and attack him and know this person is petty, just like if you're dealing with some kind of foreign dictator or foreign leader, there's going to be consequences, there are going to be repercussions. And what Trump has been staffing his staff with is people who are loyal to him.
Yeah.
Because he's
That's not just loyalty, though. I mean, if it were just loyalty, then Chris Christie would be on deck to be Attorney General, and Rudy Giuliani would be our next Secretary of State.
Rudy Giuliani has gone insane, and Chris Christie is probably going to jail.
Cyber portfolio, whatever that means.
Trump
oh my gosh, I have one of those on my phone. I have to switch to private.
You can't blame Trump for people who attacked him just like everybody else publicly and expect them to kind of fall in line once they're in his administration.
Andy?
I don't even think Trump is being petty on this. These people signed letters saying that Trump lacks the character and values to be president and that he weakens U.S. moral authority as a leader of the real world. Then you want him to hire you? I mean, I agree with everything they said.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't expect Trump to ever hire me. This is like saying Cleveland sucks, Cleveland is the worst city in the world, and then being upset that the mayor of Cleveland didn't appoint you to the Cleveland Arts Commission.
Right.
Like, it's not going to happen.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, I guess I'm not surprised that, you know, the
Would Hillary have
spoils.
been different? Hillary would have been exactly the same. She only hires her own
But no
people.
one would
No,
sign a
Hillary
letter
would have
like that
a
about
duffel
Hillary
bag
Clinton.
full of human heads. I mean that figuratively.
But again,
No, but think about this, though. You have, watching the hearings last week, which I know everybody was, totally riveting, seeing even certain things that Jeff Sessions said, Rex Tillerson, people who are his choices for these cabinet appointments don't disagree with him about certain things. They just didn't do it publicly, right? Rex Tillerson didn't come out there and say, you know, sanctions might be an okay idea, or listening to General Mattis, you know, the guy who said, I'll do better torture-wise, let's get some cigarettes and a pack of beer, right? That's going to be better than that. And so we're punishing people who were vocal, who were trying to get their message out there to say, while there's still time, there's a better choice.
They were still opponents. And, you know, he's not going to hire someone from National Review to be his press secretary. Last word, Andy.
yeah, just again, this is not like intramural squabbling where you all come together at the end of the day. Again, they signed a letter saying he lacks the character and moral values to be president. If you do that, you can't expect that president to hire you.
So do you think that he just had frog legs with Mitt Romney to just embarrass him? So he could give the job to someone else?
You saw that photo.
Totally.
I 100%
Yes.
agree with you. All right. Meantime, Donald Trump will reportedly step into the Oval Office Friday with the lowest approval ratings of any incoming president in at least 4 decades, and probably longer than that. But they haven't been doing polling because no one had phones. We all lived in mud huts. That's according to a new ABC News Washington Post poll. The poll claims just 40% of Americans view Donald Trump favorably, 54% view him unfavorably. And it's important to point out that the poll also suggests the majority of Americans are optimistic about what lies ahead. But that didn't stop the president-elect from tweeting, quote, The same people who did the phony election polls and were so wrong are now doing approval rating polls. They are rigged, just like before. Malice, are they rigged?
I don't know if they're rigged or not, but he lost the popular vote. He's not trying to be a popular person. He's trying to win battles every step of the way, and he's taking lesson from Obamacare. The American people are violently against Obamacare, and those Democrats fought for it, and they passed it. So he's going to be doing a lot of damage to the state and to the progressive left, and they're going to fight him every step of the way, and there's not a damn thing they're going to be able to do about it.
Does that make you happy?
Any political carnage makes me downright bleak.
Jessica.
Well, first of all, Obamacare is actually now more positively
At the time, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, but
Just
social
like Trump would be
change.
more popular.
Yeah, okay.
Mark my words.
The favorability thing, it's completely in line with the election, right? He was the least favorable candidate of all time, then she was second, and it makes complete sense. But, there's more to this as well. Like 75% are saying that they want to see his tax returns. He says, no one wants to see my tax returns. Even Mark Sanford, who no one wants to hear from, tweeted, well, actually, I kind of want to see your tax returns.
His former mistress doesn't want to hear from him at all.
She's in Argentina.
She blocked him.
It was Argentina?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, going on a little hike. Donald Trump is unpopular. I believe he will remain that way. The optimism, though, even as someone who was not backing him throughout, it makes me happy. You want these 4 years to go well.
Yeah.
And, for
regardless of who's president, you want the economy to go well. You want people to do well. You want people to make money and have jobs. You want kids to thrive and
go to school. And
I don't want any of those.
You want to poke them like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah.
Andy.
Yeah. Look, on
You
one level.
optimistic?
Am I optimistic? Am I ever optimistic? Kennedy, you've known me for like 27 years.
You won the
now,
Mr. Optimism pageant 12 years in a row.
I did. It's hard to believe. Look, on one level, this actually makes perfect sense. He won 46% of the vote.
Yeah.
He has a 40% approval rating. So you figure if 6% of the people who voted for him were voting more anti-Hillary than pro-Trump, then there's your 40%.
Well, there it is. The panel returns a little bit later. Conservatives are borrowing a very liberal tactic and using it against public universities. We'll tell you what they're up to and who will prevail in the battle between Donald Trump and the intelligence community. Judge Andrew Napolitano joins me with his insight next. It's absolutely true. Very true words from Michael Hutchins, God rest his soul. An Arizona lawmaker proposing legislation that would penalize public schools and colleges who teach divisive social justice classes and events, such as the University of Arizona's Privilege Walk and an Arizona State University class, I dropped my pen almost, on whiteness and race theory. A co-sponsor of the bill says he wants to stop wedge issue courses that vilify white people for the actions of their ancestors. The party panel is back. Let's party with Jessica Tarlov, Michael Malice, and Andy Levy. So are GOPers being snowflakes?
Yeah, this bill is idiotic, but is anybody really surprised that conservatives want safe spaces too? The same people who are so thrilled that Trump is getting rid of political correctness are the same ones who rail about how, the Hollywood elite, they don't respect me. It's the same, it's the flip side of the same snowflake-shaped coin. None of this is surprising.
Should we get rid of public universities altogether?
We should, well, let's get rid of most of the universities, especially the liberal.
Look how you two lit up, by the way, in that discussion. You're like, my small government flag.
I went
to UCLA. I loved going to UCLA. I still love UCLA. It should be the only public university in the world.
On November 15th, I sat in this very seat, possibly farting, and I predicted
I don't know why
I predicted that the Trump administration was been going after the universities because that's what breeds the next generation of progressive evangelists.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what they've started doing. If you cut off the regeneration capability, you're going to wipe out the ideology, and that's what Bannon and his ilk are going for.
All right, so what should we do? Should people just be self-educating?
You don't need to spend so much money on these, all these social sciences, where if you want to study them, those you can read books about it.
Yeah.
More money on STEM, more money on things that are useful, and less money on getting degrees that are not going to be able to get you a burger flipping job, which isn't going to exist in 5 years anyway.
That's true.
Because
Automation.
everyone at McDonald's has a BA in English.
Maybe. Why are you judging? Oh my gosh, you're so elitist.
It's more like women's studies, I'd guess.
There's so much rudeness emanating.
What was that? Rudeness to one fact
But the way
to another.
Hillary Clinton talked about, well, you can get a job as a barista. It's like, what's wrong with being a barista?
Nothing is wrong with it at all.
And you're assuming that people who work at McDonald's don't have 4-year degrees?
Yeah. And they speak Irish.
Naughty.
How did this end up being my
That's what I'm
fault?
trying to.
I don't know. I'm wondering that
How
myself.
did this end up not being about the topic?
Well,
Because the farts.
the farts did throw everything off.
Language.
Definitely.
Here comes another one.
Oh, boy. Jesse, go ahead, honey.
The snowflake stuff is not surprising. Did you see over the weekend, Sean Spicer tweeted that SNL was now mean, right? So Donald Trump has a right to be upset because it was mean, which is exactly what he campaigned on, that we think everything is so mean and we need to be protected more. I don't think we should do away with all programs that are not STEM. We should invest more in STEM for sure because we
I
have
love
to
STEM.
accommodate.
And I have a philosophy degree, and I still love STEM.
Absolutely, I do too. I mean, I work in numbers. I think numbers are fantastic, but I have a lot of degrees in things like history and politics.
How many
and
degrees do you have? You just said you have a lot of degrees.
I have 3 graduate degrees.
I have
and an MBA.
98.6.
It's a great radio
Mine in
station.
Russian.
It's the wave. All right, if you've ever wanted to know how to start rumors that you've converted to Islam, well, just ask Lindsay Lohan, the Hollywood actress and temptress. Yeah, she is a Long Island native. She spent some time over the last few years assisting Syrian refugees in Turkey, carrying a Quran in Brooklyn, and adopting an accent that sounds oddly Irish. She's been learning Russian with a speech impediment, yet over the weekend she caused the most stir by deleting all of her Instagram posts and changing her bio to read Alaikum Salam, which means, and peace unto you. The 30-year-old has yet to confirm or deny an official conversion to Islam. So, will Mean Girls 2 sound weird in Arabic? Andy Levy, I turn to you for prayer and some sort of guidance.
Yes,
here.
as most people do.
Yes. Is it better than the path she was
Well,
on?
that's the thing. I'll be serious about this one. She may have converted to Islam. First of all, I don't care, but whatever. If it makes her happy, good for her. Back in, I think
What are
it
you,
was-
Sheryl Crow?
But pretty much. Back in 2005, she was studying Kabbalah because that was the hip thing to do in Hollywood at the time. But she had a quote where she said, all of us need something. You have to grab onto whatever gets you through. She's had a rough life. She's obviously searching for something. Anything she finds has got to be better than the path that she had been going down. So if she's converting to another religion,
Now,
good for her.
I gave her kudos about a week and a half ago for writing a poem about ISIS and changing hearts and minds, which I think is a higher aim than some of the warmongering conversations we have about defeating Islam in this country. However, I think when she's talking about changing hearts and minds in ISIS, she's talking about looking for a husband.
It sounds more like she's converting to hipsterdom than it is to converting to Islam. And I want to know if lip injections are halal and if doing rails is haram. Because, I mean, in all
Can you imagine getting your lip injections at the halal card? Let's see. Is that chicken? Yeah, I'll have that. And then can we do 40 cc's and these?
In all, if I'm gonna join Annie being a little serious. This woman has been spinning out of control for over a decade, and then I mean the next thing she latches onto, who knows what it's going to be, but it's sad.
Yeah, Jesse.
I vote sad as well on all of this. And there was a great video within the last year where she was speaking. She had an Italian accent. That was there was the Irish and there was also the Italian. And I think, you know, for someone to have been so successful as a young person, The Parent Trap, the remake, I'm an original fan, but the remake as well, then going through Mean Girls, which is still totally cult classic. Yeah. And to not really know what you're doing or where you're going after that is, you know, this isn't like, oh, woe is her. You know, she has a ton of money. She has all of that stuff. And there are people worse off. But people need to lay off others.
And I bet she's broke, too.
Oh, poor Lindsay Lohan. She may be the key to peace in the Middle East, and my confidence still
Trump
rests
will
in
hire
that ginger
her because
bosom.
he's not going to take anyone.
I do like the way this is reported. She has neither confirmed nor denied. Like, who cares? Like, it's her business. Why does she have to
Nothing is
confirm or
Well,
deny?
because she does live out loud. Bless her bones. All right, thank you so much, Andy, Michael, and Jessica.
Thank you.
Coming up, the Democrats got beaten like a dusty rug in 2016.